Okay. This is a story about the importance of being naked in public, even if you think your penis might be small. So I'll get rid of some of the beginning of the story. Basically, I end up in a bar, at a door, about to give a guy $15, standing there with my girlfriend, and we're giving him this money so that we can go through this door and be uncomfortable, for me, I'm thinking, at this naked pool. That's in New Orleans. It's called the Country Club. I don't know if anyone's ever been there. I definitely recommend going. So I give the guy $30 to be uncomfortable. They open the door, and it's just this circus of just butts and boobs and penises and just like all these different colors and shapes and sizes and hairiness. And I'm just not like, my girlfriend's got me there because she's sort of this kind of free to be you and me, hippie stock, sort of. And this is quite natural for her. And I support that, but from a distance in a air-conditioned, room where I have pants and sunscreen. But, nonetheless, there I am because I'm sort of generous, I guess. But also, I just don't put up a fight and try to make people happy and then let that sort of bubble over into resentment later on. But we're trying to get to the nearest, or really the furthest, lounge chairs that are all the way in the back of the pool. So we go past this circus of all these different kinds of people. There's and it's a really strange mix of folks, right? Like, I'm thinking, well, it's probably just, primarily gay men's sort of hangout pool party thing, which is fine, not a big deal. But there were frat boys who were not naked. They had bathing suits on, and their girlfriends were there, and they were just topless, which I thought was, interesting. And then there were just like all other kinds of folks that were like, the really curvy tattooed lady with the nose ring and the the curly hair and the toe rings, and then there's this guy who just sort of he really looks like a walrus. This shiny sort of walrus guy who's just sort of sitting there on his beach chair and just kind of like rolls himself into the pool and starts doing like this tugboat backstroke with, not a care in the world. There's like the fierce looking cabana boys. There's all these different, and then there's like people that I assume are professors who have retired and they're reading Joyce Carol Oates. And it's a scene, We get to the back, and my girlfriend's like, well, there's a lot of women who are just topless. Maybe I should just go topless. And I was like, well, if you're going to go just topless, I'm going to go just topless. And she's like, well, I mean, it's different for women. And I'm like, I know. I understand why it's different for women, but maybe you're not thinking why it's different for men. So it's either going to be all or nothing. We decide it's going to be nothing. And if it's going to be nothing, we're going to need to get drinks. So she agrees to buy the first round, and I just sort of sneak off into the pool as quickly as possible, like ding, 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 ding. And I drop in, and I'm hidden there under the water trying to relax and somehow make sense of this thing that I've never really done before. And she shows up behind me, quickly drops into the pool, and I grab the drink like it's an antidote. I'm just trying to calm myself down as much as I can. The walrus guy sort of parades in front of us, and it's sort of like this huge belly and kind of like vaguely hidden genitals that are just sort of going in front of you. And then as he clears by us, there's this guy who's just sort of average build, standing at the other end of the pool, and he has the biggest penis I've ever seen. Like, I think that the word elephantine was probably invented for this. I mean, it wasn't like as big as like an elephant's trunk, but it was like, it was probably like the size of like a baby's arm, I would say. Like, it was like a big baby. And so he's just standing there at different parts of the pool, just sort of, no one's talking to him. He's not going in. He's just doing this kind of thing, and It was, it was kind of hard to take in a little bit for me. No, I would not say that, I don't really like talking about my penis, but it's germane to the story, so I'm going to include it. I would not say my penis is small necessarily. I mean, I guess, like, I would think, like, if guys, if you can sort of, like, imagine what your penis is like, basically, I would say it's probably more or less like that. I'm guessing. That's how I like to think about it anyway. I mean, not necessarily, I like to think about your guys' penises. I think it's weird that you brought it up, actually. But yeah, so I wouldn't say that, but I would say I'm definitely, there's two sort of types of penises. There's showers, like the baby arm guy, and then there's growers, like what it seems to be like most of the other guys there. So one of the features of a grower is that the size at any given moment can sort of vary depending on a number of different things, like how much blood is flowing to different parts of your body, how cold it is, or how long you've been sitting in a pool, for example, or how intimidated you are by the large penis that's across the way from you. But I look down and I'm just like, well, you know what? I mean, it is what it is. It looks like it's a respectable size, I guess. I don't really know. It's my turn to get drinks, and which is sort of tragic because I need the drink to have the courage to get the drink, But I got to do what I got to do, and I mean, I look down. It looks fine, and so I was just like, screw it. So I hoist myself up, but as my penis is actually emerging from the water, I realize that the reason why it looks respectable is because, that weird, like, fractioning thing sort of happens in the water where everything looks bigger if you're not in the water and you're looking at it. I mean, I'm sure it didn't happen it wasn't a long period of time that it took to do this, but I just noticed it as it was happening. I was like, oh no, it's really not that big at all. But I had to commit, because you can't be the guy that goes back in after you've come out, because they're like, well, what is he hiding, So I just get up and I scamper as quickly as I can to the bar, and I'm standing there and I'm thinking, like, I'm probably just gonna have to deal with this anxiety the whole time. But really what happened is I ended up, like, almost immediately, all the anxiety that I had about that moment, and really about most things in life, sort of dissipated. It was sort of like jumping into a pool, except in this case I was actually getting out of the pool. And I found it kind of fascinating to have put myself in this situation where I sort of literally and figuratively had nowhere to hide anything. I'm just sort of standing there as my own naked Ted self, just trying to order overpriced drinks that probably aren't going to have enough alcohol to get me through the situation that I need to get through. And I was thinking, like, there's probably some kind of, like, clever lesson that someone's supposed to learn from this. Like, it's supposed to be a metaphor for something, but I really think that the whole experience for me was really just very specifically about the importance of this act. Because when you put yourself in that situation, you don't do it very often, I don't think, but when you do, and there's nothing that you can really there's nothing you can really do to hide anything that you're anxious about, and you realize that you're just in a room full of these people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, it really kind of opens your eyes up to, opens your eyes up to the fact that you probably don't really have to be that anxious about a lot of things, and you probably make a lot of weird judgments because you're in that sort of weird defensive mode, and when you let it go, you don't. Like, I was thinking about the baby arm guy, right? He's like, I had this narrative in my head because I'm seeing him and he's not there with anybody, and he's not going in the pool, and I'm just like, oh, he's probably just, like, so insecure, and he doesn't know how to talk to people, and so he's sort of hiding all this alienation behind this huge penis that he has. But, maybe the dude has a rich interior life. I don't know. Like, he could have, like, a great job, and he could have, like, a warm, loving circle of friends, and he has a big penis. And he likes to go for walks to the naked pool sometimes, and that's fine. I don't really blame him. Ironically, this has gone a little long, but really what I'm trying to get at is not any metaphors here. I can't stress enough the importance. If you can get naked in public, I highly recommend it because you'll be really surprised at the things you see. Thank you.